Hey guys, welcome back to MMA Library. Today in MMA and UFC news, Jorge Masvidal plans to dismantle Gilbert Burns at UFC 287. Following this, he intends to challenge the top wrestlers of the division to show his vast improvement. Here's what Masvidal had to say.
I'm one of the biggest pay-per-view draws that is active, and it's fighting top-name guys left and right. You know, now that Jones is back, he's another guy to add that mix. But when John Jones was sitting out, it's basically Conor, me, and John that are pushing those numbers, and John was out for a minute. So for a while, it's been me breaking these records and stuff, and you know, I'm eager to get in there with Gilbert and like utterly dismantle him to the point that everybody's begging for me to go and fight Leon. And I know Leon's not an idiot. He knows he's already fought before and defended the title and stuff. So he knows what a guy like me brings to the table besides the added beef that we have and the amount of pay-per-views that we could generate together fighting for that title. I think it's epic. It's a movie ending for me and everybody involved with me, you know. And then after that, go and challenge these other wrestlers and breaks off them.
Beneil Dariush claims Islam Makhachev is trying to run off to other divisions. During a recent interview, this is what Dariush had to say about Islam's proposal to fight Leon Edwards in October.
I don't understand. Like, what about title defenses? It's like people, I don't know what's going on with him. Why? Maybe he's having a hard time making weight at 55 and he's just like, let's just go to 70 and relax. Honestly, I don't get it, but I think he needs to focus on his division. There's a lot of good fighters in his division. Maybe, in my opinion, the best division. So I don't know why he's trying to run off to other divisions. Someone showed that to me and I just rolled my eyes. I was like, guys, get this out of my face. It was very frustrating at that moment. And I don't know what goes through these guys' mind, but you know, I get it. Like, you work so hard to get this belt. Now you don't want to risk it and lose it, right? He went to Australia. He did his thing, almost lost the belt, right? The fight was very close, and now he's thinking to himself, you know, maybe I'll put myself in Volkanovski's shoes and not risk my belt and go fight for another belt.
Paulo Costa has revealed he signed a new 4-fight deal with the UFC. Fans were unsure if they would see Costa fight in the UFC again after recently teasing the possibility of free agency following the breakdown of his fight with Robert Whittaker. I haven't signed the new contract yet, but we have reached a deal with the UFC regarding the pay. It wasn't easy, there was a lot of hard work, and I have to highlight Tamara's brilliant work here. Costa also went on to say that the UFC has asked him to fight Sean Strickland in May or wait and fight Khamzat Chimaev in Abu Dhabi when the UFC returns to the Middle East in October. There is a great possibility of me fighting Strickland in my next fight, but there's also another one, a very big one, and the UFC prefers that fight against Khamzat Chimaev. But this fight would only have to happen in October in Abu Dhabi or Dubai. I want to fight earlier, I don't want to wait 6 months, I'll face whoever is available now, so I think it's going to be Strickland. Michael Bisping believes Belal Muhammad deserves a title shot. Here's what Bisping had to say during a recent edition of his podcast.
So, if you read between the lines there, listen, Covington is threatening to John Anik, but he's not. He's playing the game. He is playing the game. So yeah, it's a bit of drama going on, isn't there? But so let's break it down. So John Anik, he's in the clear. He's not going to get murdered. He's not being unprofessional. He's just stating facts. The reality is it's not hard to feel bad for Belal. The man has won 8 in a row. He does have unfinished business with Leon Edwards. You know, remember they fought, and in round 2, Leon caught him in the eye with a very, very nasty eye poke. However, Leon was winning round 1 convincingly, but it was a 5-round fight. We don't know how it would have ended up. So he does have unfinished business, and he certainly does have the resume to challenge for the belt.
Holm discusses signing a new 6-fight deal with the UFC at 41 years old.
First, a bit of business. It's reported that you signed a new contract ahead of this fight for 6 fights. Is that right?
Yeah, you know, I guess after my last fight, I wasn't really sure. I was hopeful that we could still come to agreement and be able to continue my career with the UFC. And so I'm very, very happy to be able to have that contract signed. My mind, of course, is just set on this fight ahead of me, but I'm happy to continue my journey with the UFC.
Nice. I would say with 6 fights, it's fair to say that boxing is probably just off the table and we'll be focusing on MMA for the rest of the career.
I would say that's it. I mean, we kind of talked about if something like that came up, you know, if we could ever figure something out, I don't know, but my mind's set on MMA right now.
Sean O'Malley believes this weekend's main event with Cory Sandhagen and Chito Vera will be a fairly close fight. However, he believes Chito has the edge over Sandhagen.
It's hard to say. I think they're both pretty good on the ground. I mean, the thing is, it's not a jiu-jitsu fight. How's their MMA jiu-jitsu? That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. We really haven't seen too much. I know Chito has a couple sweet subs. I know Cory armbarred Mario. Yeah. That was a super short notice fight for Mario, and Mario has improved a ton since then. But yeah, it's hard to say. I'd probably give the edge to Chito. He's probably a little bit stronger, and maybe a little bit more skilled in straight jiu-jitsu. But really, I don't know. Cory shot a lot against Song. Like a lot. He shot probably 10 times. Oh, really? Yeah. The first couple minutes he shot 3 or 4 times. Or the first round, I should say. Will he shoot on Chito? Chito's dangerous. He's pretty dangerous off his back. He doesn't mind going to his back. That's how Frankie Edgar beat him until he didn't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the fight. I really don't know. Like I said, I went back and forth. Chito, yeah, could stalk him down, crack him, land a couple big shots, and get the job done. Or Cory could dance on him for 25.
Chael Sonnen has voiced his concerns over recent comments made by Joe Rogan about Jorge Masvidal. Joe said he believes Masvidal is better than George St. Pierre. Here's what Joe said on his podcast. I just think the level of competition he's faced is higher. GSP was so good, he raised the bar. But you look at GSP's victories, he beat some very good guys, but I think the guys Kamaru Usman beat, Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, Tyron Woodley, I think they're better. Joe was then asked if he thinks Masvidal is better than George St. Pierre, and he replied with, yeah, I think if Masvidal was around at the time, he would be dangerous for everybody. I think he's on another level. I think everyone is on another level. The Masvidal that knocked out Ben Askren, that was one of the craftiest moves that anyone has ever done. He went sideways and ran straight at him, and Askren's instincts kicked in, and he kneed him into the Darklands. Just one shot, boom, into the Shadow Realm. Masvidal, I mean, he knocked out Eve Edwards with a head kick back in the day. Masvidal's a gangster. Chael Sonnen responded to these comments made by Joe and said, that's not a rational statement. Joe Rogan is fantastic at his job, and when you talk a lot, you get some things wrong. He put Masvidal over as an example that today's welterweights are far superior, and they're better than George St. Pierre. We should just dismiss this. What Joe said and how he did his math is very common, but I would like to correct you to what a non-420 mind can come up with. Joe got to the point by stating that the competition is harder now than it was then. What does the competition have to do with the guy? Nowhere in life does that math work when you're going to tell somebody about this guy. Go ahead, tell them about this guy. It's what the topic is. No, instead you talk about these guys, and your commentary rationale of these guys somehow equates to this guy. I know who the best fighter is. I can't prove this, but I've been in there with all of them. I know you're not supposed to tell practice room stories, but if it didn't go your way in the practice room, the rules are different, and you can tell the story. George is the best, that's your answer. Ever. What kind of divisible are you going to put in when George goes out there and dominates a wrestling champion like Josh Koscheck, or knocks out a world champion like Matt Hughes, or passes the guard of a jiu-jitsu ace like Diaz? What kind of equation are you putting into the gap? Which 170-pounder do you believe can take George St. Pierre down? What 170-pounder out there do you believe George cannot take down? Let's start with that. Gilbert Burns doesn't believe Colby should be next in line for a title shot. Here's what Burns had to say during a recent interview.
Covington, he weighs in as the backup fighter. Dana White comes out after the fight's over and says Covington's next in line. Do you believe that? You know what I mean? Because Dana White, he says a lot of, oh, you don't.
I don't because it's very hard to say, because I don't want to, like, I took an approach from a couple of years from now that I don't want to push no one down to put my name out there. I think a lot of guys deserve a chance. I don't think Covington is one of them. Guy being out for so long, and he's very smart because March 5th he made 1 year that he wasn't competing. Last competition was a year ago. UFC supposed to take this guy out of the ranks, but now he very, very smart to make that decision to, I don't know if he asked or UFC asking to be a backup, because boom, now they don't took him out of the ranks, and then he's right there, so I don't think he deserves, but who am I to judge?
Guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. If you like the content we do here on this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe to MMA Library for all the latest MMA and UFC news. We'll see you in the next video.